Please read the disclaimer. XRP, is it canceled? Well, not yet. We'll talk about the current situation. Hello, beautiful people. Shalom, money makers. What is happening with XRP and the rest of the crypto market? We'll also talk about that asset that has been going bananas that I told you about a few days ago. Make sure to watch all the way to the end of the video. All I ask from you is that you give me a beautiful smile to send out those good vibes. Smishity smash that like button and let's get into it. So currently XRP is sitting at $1.32, down minus 1.93% on the day, but you can see that it was all the way up at 137, but then the news came out, which we'll get to in just a second, and XRP fell down from 135 all the way down to 132. It was not just XRP, of course. The whole crypto market dropped here. Bitcoin went from 73,000 down to 71, and Ethereum, same thing. Everybody, basically. All the assets that are on the algo, right? All of them that get traded on the algo, they all dropped at the same time. I've noticed this at assets that maybe are lower market cap that are not algo traded right now didn't drop off at that point, which is interesting. So you know that it's not retail. I'll tell you in just a second because I was looking at something before, the asset that we talked about. We'll get to that at the end of the video. That didn't sell off at that point. But the basic thing is that the peace talks between Iran and the US in Pakistan have been not so fruitful, and that JD Vance has left for now, and the potential ceasefire is looking kind of weak, right? And you can see here, U.S.-Iran peace talks collapse as Navy clears Hormone mines. Hosted in Pakistan by Pakistan, the marathon talks aimed to strengthen the fragile ceasefire in the U.S.-Iran war began late in February, but broke down when Iran rejected U.S. demands for commitments against pursuing nuclear weapons. Meanwhile, the U.S. destroyer Frank Peterson and Michael Murphy transit to the Strait of Hormuz without incident, launching a mine-clearing operation with underwater drones to reopen the vital oil route. President Trump called it the win for global trade as shipping distributions have spiked energy prices, though Iran denied that the transit and risk of escalations remain high. So basically, the crypto market sold off a little bit. It's the only market right now that's trading, right? It's Sunday. And so it sold off, nothing too crazy, same way as it didn't pump when the news came out about the ceasefire, potential of a ceasefire. Been watching the videos, I told you that the first kind of negotiations and the first ceasefire usually falls through because when you get to the table the first time, unless one side is really weakened, it's kind of interesting because the Iranians are kind of, they're standing strong because of the Strait. If it wasn't for the Strait, they would be, they wouldn't be with their chests puffed up like this. But they're kind of, they're not really into, just giving everything, right? Everything that the U.S. wants. So they're, playing hardball right now, which is interesting because their economy is in the toilet and their supreme leader is gone. And yet they're still, playing hardball. So it's interesting. Their whole military, their whole Air Force and Navy is all gone. So it's interesting. But this is how it usually happens. And then you go to another round of fighting, and then they come back in a few weeks. So this could get solved in the next day or two, right? It could. But from my experience, it usually falls apart. They're very far apart. Like you'll see what they're asking. The Iranians are really against it. They don't want to do this. Let's listen to what JD Vance said first, and then we'll get to the Iranian response.
Precisely what have they rejected here? Can you help us understand it a little bit?
Well, I won't go into all the details because I don't want to negotiate in public after we negotiated for 21 hours in private. But the simple fact is that we need to see an affirmative commitment that they will not seek a nuclear weapon and they will not seek the tools that would enable them to quickly achieve a nuclear weapon. That is the core goal of the President of the United States, and that's what we've tried to achieve through these negotiations. Again, their nuclear program, such as it is, The enrichment facilities that they had before, they've been destroyed. But the simple question is, do we see a fundamental commitment of will for the Iranians not to develop a nuclear weapon, not just now, not just 2 years from now, but for the long term? We haven't seen that yet. We hope that we will.
Precisely what have they...
So the main reason people will say, it's because of this and because of that. The president is saying that's the main reason that we went for this war, was the threat of that happening, right? And when you have a country that is saying D to America, D to Israel, right? And that's something that they do when they open their parliament, right? Then you have to be cautious with this. And so that's what they're cautious with now. And that's what their main goal is, according to the president. It says that's 90% of it, or whatever number he threw out a few days ago. And so that's where we're at, right? And he says here, we're leaving with a simple proposal of final and best offer. We'll see if they accept it. And the Iranians rejected. But Pakistan foreign minister has confirmed negotiations will continue and talks are not over, as both sides are still discussing demands. This comes after JD said that they talks end without an agreement. So there's a lot of, he said, she said, right? A lot of we're not doing this, we're not doing that. And it will be very interesting to see how this plays out in the next coming hours. Again, over the weekend, we saw the assets sell off a little bit, but it will be very interesting to see if we get any good news, do we pop right back up to where we were previously? Now, as always, I want to remind you that this video is for educational purposes, for entertainment purposes only, not financial advice. Always do your own due diligence before you decide to invest. Again, day to day, I do not know what the markets are going to do. I don't know what the negotiations are going to be. I can have my opinion from my experience, like with the talks that I thought, just looking at the Iranians' 10-point plan right there, I knew that maybe only 2 of them would get accepted. So I went into this knowing that there was high probability that it would get rejected. But, other things day to day, you don't know what exactly is going to happen. I've told you this before. I always have the monkey on my back. And so just a reminder, like I said, not financial advice, always do your own due diligence. Also remember that I will never contact you on social media asking you to sign up to anything or to send me any money. Those are scammers, those imposters. Please be very careful out there, okay? So the main thing, right, with the conflict here and what's affecting the market is the oil, right, and the Strait. And according to what we've heard this morning, is that Trump signals a naval blockade of the Strait after the Iran talks collapse. The U.S. Gerald Ford and Abraham Lincoln are already positioned in the Persian Gulf. Experts say that the U.S. Navy can take full control of the Strait immediately if Trump gives the order. Trump just posted the article. He's signaling a major escalation. Now, this could potentially cut off Russia and China, because they mainly get their oil from there, mainly from Iranian ships. This also cuts off the main income that the Iranians have right now. And this is interesting and something that could potentially affect the prices of oil on Monday and the market is the fact that Saudi Arabia restores its east-west oil pipeline, bypassing the Strait and pumping 7 million barrels per day. So this could relieve some of the pressure that we're seeing right now on the global oil shortage and the global price squeeze that we've seen recently. So this could also be an effect that could, change the game a little bit. The fact that they have opened this east-west oil pipeline, it's not the best thing. If you've seen how Saudi Arabia is set up, it's mostly desert in the middle, and it's kind of hard to get that pipeline through, and it's a long journey. And then also going out of the Red Sea, there's the Houthis. So it's not, in this area, nothing is easy. Nothing is easy. But we'll see what will potentially happen there, and in talking on that, we have the M2 continue to jump, right? The M2 jumped 4.8% year over year in February to a record 22 trillion, marking the 24th consecutive monthly increase. Money supply is now 7 billion above the March 2022 peak. Since the 2020 pandemic, M2 has surged 7.1 trillion, or roughly 1.2 trillion per year. Since 2000, money in circulation has grown at an average annual rate of 6.2. The US dollar is losing purchasing power at historic pace. Now, again, as this is happening, we remember the situation and where the markets, how the crypto market and Bitcoin had mimicked the M2 in the past, and how we're so detached from it right now. and the potential of that closure. And Raoul Paul continues to talk about this and continues to, beat the drum that this is what is going to potentially put us in the banana zone here in the second quarter. We're already in the second quarter and the market has not moved. Now, of course, it could be because of the Clarity Act, but it seems that the Clarity Act is getting very, very close. Again, we don't have confirmation that it's there, but it seems like it's getting very, very close. And potentially we could see some movement in that. And so I will be interesting to see where we are, let's say by summer. Have we recovered a significant amount of the losses, or are we continuing to kind of walk through the sludge here a little bit with the markets? And this is also interesting. We've talked about how the crypto markets always had like this kind of black cloud upon it, and that people like Senator Warren and others would say, "Oh, crypto is only for bad people and shady people." And the fact that this comes out saying that paying Iran in crypto could trigger serious sanction violations for shipping firms. Iran, we know, has a significant amount of crypto. That's how they've done a lot of their business in the past few years. They've also had mining setups in their country. And we talked about my theory previously on how they were shorting the market before they knew that they were going to be attacking and things like that, where the market fell big previously, back in when they first attacked Israel. And so they transact in crypto. And now people will be saying, like Senator Warren will say, "Hey, you see, Iran is bad," right? I don't think she's going to say it because she's a Democrat. She doesn't want to be like, to agree with President Trump. But she'll say, "You see, the people are using it for bad stuff," right? And so this could hurt, crypto long term. Although right now the U.S. government is very pro crypto. So this will be interesting to see how this plays out over the next coming years. Do we see more news like this going forward, or is it just, it gets brushed under the table a little bit and it doesn't really hurt the markets? We'll see. We'll see. Let's talk a little bit about Rave, which we talked about yesterday and the day before. I still have a position open. My original position got stop lost because I wanted to take profits on one of these spikes. It's a super duper duper volatile asset. It just rose like in the last 2 hours, 30%. And so these kind of assets remind us again that there are movers and shakers in the market. There is potential to make money, but again, this is a very, very volatile asset. You can see it can go down 30% and then pop up 30% in 10, 15 minutes. So if you are deciding to trade something like this, just be very, very careful and go into it knowing that it's a swing or a miss, right? You could lose everything or you could get a nice profit there. So just be careful out. There's a few others that are starting to move. If we go, and this is the top 200, you can see, and then we have the top 100. There's some movers and shakers, but please be very careful out there if you are trying to catch the runs, trying to day trade, using leverage, because it can flip on you very, very fast, okay? So just be careful out there. And that's just another reminder about that the crypto market can be beautiful. I mean, you can make, amazing profits, but it can also be a very, very risky place and a bad place. Okay. So just be very careful out there. Don't forget to drop a comment, 8 for Infinity and beyond. Subscribe to the channel for more XRP and crypto updates. And the easiest thing to support the channel is to just smash that like button. Thank you for watching. I hope to see you next time. And like I always say, let's make a lot of money.